It is incredibly easy to find examples of people and companies that are behaving unethically, which is why I don't make a lot of videos about that kind of stuff. We all see plenty of immoral behavior in the headlines, and you don't need any more from me. I try to focus on the good, but today we're going to do a little bit of both. Because over the last month or so, there has been a back and forth ethics saga that has affected my life personally, and it is both interesting and informative. The main characters in this story are Daniel Batal, a YouTuber that covers editing and video creation and general YouTube stuff, and Wondershare Filmora, a software company that makes video editing software that I'm going to just generally call Filmora. Here's how the story goes. Like many software companies, Filmora needed both money and users in the early days of their company. So they offered a lifetime license that cost a bit more money up front, but made it so that you didn't need to pay the yearly subscription fee to use the software. This is something that a lot of companies do because it gives them a big chunk of cash to grow with, as well as a loyal user base that's talking about and using their product. Many people, myself included, purchased the lifetime license because honestly, it was just a great deal. A simple, easy to use software that didn't cost a fortune to get started with. Kind of the small YouTuber's dream. Daniel made a lot of tutorials about Filmora, recommended it to his viewers, and eventually became Filmora's first brand ambassador. I'm going to drastically simplify what happens next so that I can focus on the takeaways and the lessons and what it means for people in general. But if you want more of a play-by-play of what was happening as it happened, Daniel has several videos on his channel that are very detailed, which I will link to in the description. But here are the important details. First, Filmora got rid of the option to purchase lifetime licenses. Not a big deal. That's pretty common. They got out of the startup phase, and instead of needing a bunch of cash up front, they were looking to build recurring revenue. Nothing wrong with that. And if you were one of the early adopters that got in on that sweet, sweet early bird deal, then you continued to get updates and upgrades on the software. And everything was great. Then Filmora started changing language, referring to everything as perpetual plans instead of lifetime licenses, and making a distinction between updates to software, like version 10.2, 10.3, 10.4, and so on, and upgrades to the software, like going from version 10 to version 11. These changes were made on their website and updated in the end user license agreement, which is the thing everyone checks the box saying that they've read, even though they haven't actually read it. It really felt like Filmora was intentionally muddying the water when it came to what different terms meant, and they included new clauses in their agreement, basically saying that they could deny updates and upgrades to anybody. Then Filmora 12 came out at the end of 2022, and everything went nuts. We all got little notifications to upgrade. We all did, like we had many times before. And then, if you went to export the video that you created, you were told that you had to pay in order to remove the watermark. Daniel, myself, and I assume countless other people contacted Filmora support about this and were told, in essence, that our lifetime licenses didn't apply to Filmora 12, and that we could keep using Filmora 11, though it would never be updated ever again. And oh boy, were people mad, and rightfully so. Filmora had made it abundantly clear way back in the day that lifetime license meant lifetime. And now they were trying to change the rules. And Daniel wasn't having it. He shared absolutely everything with his audience of nearly 250,000 subscribers, including screenshots of the old website and the old end user license agreement from the Wayback Machine, emails that he had sent back and forth to Filmora about the issue, which included an offer to basically pay him off so that he wouldn't talk about it anymore, which he rejected. And then he proceeded to talk about it a lot. Thousands of people, both Filmora users and just random people, rallied around Daniel, appreciating his transparency in shining a light on what was going on, and for apologizing for his role in encouraging people to buy the software that was now burning them. And Daniel gets big ethics points here, because he absolutely nailed the balance of letting people know truthfully what was going on, but without just bashing Filmora. If you watch his videos, he's very reasonable and goes out of his way to point out the valid parts of Filmora's perspective. All in all, he was very classy about it. And then Filmora doubled down. They made it very clear to Daniel and all lifetime license holders that we were not going to be getting access to Filmora 12 without coughing up at least some money. We all thought that was the end of the story. I even started planning out this video as a cool contrast between a guy that was standing up for what he believed was right and a company that was being kinda greedy. But then it kept getting weirder. Filmora instituted a copyright strike against Daniel's YouTube channel for a video they had paid him to make. That's right. They filed a legal complaint against Daniel to take down their own sponsored content, promoting their product from years previous. Daniel assured the world and all of his viewers that he had all the necessary materials that he needed to fight the strike, and now, surely the story must be over. But no, Filmora's horrible response to the incident caught the eye of bigger fish. Much bigger fish. A few days after the copyright strike, Linus Tech Tips, one of the largest tech YouTube channels in the world, with 15 million subscribers, brought up the story and talked about how messed up it was.
Wow, that is the douchiest thing ever.
And what do you know? Just a few days later, Filmora released a statement saying that they were so sorry and took full responsibility for this communication issue, and that lifetime license holders will get this and all future versions of the software as intended. Then literally in the same tweet, they threatened legal action against those who had spread false accusations against them on social media, because everyone knows that the best apologies are the ones that come with legal threats attached. As someone who was affected by this entire exchange, it was a roller coaster to watch. But what's more interesting to me is how it illustrates the benefits of ethical behavior. People sometimes say that ethics requires you to act against your own self-interest, but this story illustrates why sometimes in the long term, ethical behavior is the best thing you can do for your own self-interest. Filmora took the route of doing something questionable in order to make more money. And in exchange, they took a massive PR hit, likely lost many current and future customers, and still ended up going down the route of honoring the lifetime licenses and thus not making extra money from the whole ordeal. Less money, less customers, less trust. Daniel, on the other hand, took the route of sticking with his principles even though it cost him money, especially at the beginning when he turned down what was essentially hush money. He took responsibility for how his past behavior was hurting people in the present, gave them options and advice, and became quite likely the best source of information for everyone who was involved. Partially because he had already proven that he couldn't be bought. And because of that, his series of videos giving updates on it pulled in around 2 million views, which likely means quite a few new subscribers and a healthy chunk of ad revenue. In the end, most people would consider this a win. Daniel's video that had the copyright strike was restored. He built a ton of trust with his audience. Lifetime license holders get their software and everyone's happy, right? Well, mostly, yeah. I bet Filmora isn't particularly thrilled with the whole thing, but that's kind of what you'd expect. The people who made bad decisions get bad consequences. But I actually want to give them credit where it's due. Even though they did it for all the wrong reasons, they did at least end up doing the right thing. And I hope that they've learned from it. Only time will tell, but at least for the moment, Filmora has a chance to rebuild the trust that they somehow managed to thoroughly shatter in just a couple weeks. After you've subscribed to the channel, which of course you've already done, and left your brilliant, insightful comments on this video, make sure to go check out my podcast, Ethics for Humans. It does way deeper dives into issues like this and how ethics affects all of our lives every day. Now get out there, make the world a better place.